It brings indescribable sadness to know contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia, and isolation. Yeah, well, every family tries to do what they can to sort of help with the environment.
Just minutes ago, shocking whispers are racing through Buckingham Palace corridors. Reports claim the royal family has dropped a heart-stopping announcement that could change everything. Could this be the biggest turning point in decades? The truth is still unfolding. Don't miss it. Subscribe now and stay updated as this mystery deepens. The day started like any other inside Buckingham Palace, but something felt off. Staff moved quickly along the long, echoing corridors. Phones rang more than usual, and quiet conversations stopped the moment someone passed by. The usual rhythm of royal life, steady and predictable, seemed to have slipped. Those who have worked in the palace for years said they could sense when something important was about to happen, and today that feeling was everywhere. Outside, reporters noticed unusual movements. Black cars arrived earlier than scheduled. Couriers entered side doors with sealed envelopes, leaving as quickly as they came. Even the famous balcony, normally a symbol of calm tradition, remained empty long after the time when early staff usually stepped out for routine checks. Something had shifted, though no one knew what it was. Regular watchers of royal events have learned to read small signals, and every sign pointed to something larger than a change of schedule. Yet there was no official word, no announcement, just an unspoken tension. For a family whose every move is carefully timed, even the slightest change feels dramatic. That quiet sense of urgency was only the beginning of a day that would slowly rewrite expectations for the monarchy. Before long, details began to emerge. Small pieces of a bigger puzzle. Prince William arrived earlier than expected, his usual relaxed expressions replaced with a firm, focused look. Those who caught a glimpse of him described a man deep in thought, moving with purpose, but without his usual lightness. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, followed soon after. She offered her familiar warm smile to staff members, yet there was something different in her eyes, a quiet strength mixed with determination. The couple exchanged brief words before disappearing into a private meeting room, leaving onlookers to wonder what was unfolding. King Charles was also seen that morning, but not as many expected. He appeared calm but noticeably reserved, choosing not to speak to photographers or aides who often greet him. Instead, he moved slowly, his presence almost reflective. Observers described an air of quiet contemplation, as though he carried thoughts far heavier than the day's routine events. Queen Camilla's absence stood out the most. She had been scheduled to attend a charity planning session earlier in the day, yet no explanation for her absence was offered. For someone who normally keeps to her public commitments, the sudden change drew immediate notice. Rumors quickly spread, but no one could say for sure what her absence meant. These moments, subtle as they might seem, felt heavy with meaning. In the royal world, silence often communicates more than words. The lack of official updates only deepened the mystery. What could cause such a coordinated quiet among senior royals? Those questions lingered as the day continued. For months, quiet conversations had circled around the king's health and the pressures of his role. Nothing had ever been confirmed, and palace statements remained carefully neutral. Yet the tension of the morning gave those earlier whispers new weight. Staff members spoke in lowered voices. Advisors appeared and vanished through side doors. Schedules shifted without explanation. Each small move added to a growing sense that something significant was happening behind those ornate gates. Outside, news outlets began piecing together hints. Live broadcasts speculated about unexpected changes and possible internal discussions. The public watched every update, waiting for clarity that never came. The absence of official statements only fueled curiosity. For a family defined by tradition and steadiness, even a subtle shift can feel monumental. And this day felt like more than a minor adjustment. It felt like the early steps of something that could change the way the monarchy moves forward. Then, without warning, a new story began to emerge from within the palace walls, one that surprised even those closest to the crown. In a move that few anticipated, Prince William and Catherine introduced a sweeping program called the Diana Initiative. Announced not with a grand ceremony but through a thoughtful statement, it quickly caught worldwide attention. This initiative reached far beyond typical charity work. It carried the spirit and values of Princess Diana, compassion, empathy, and a deep connection to everyday people, back into the heart of royal life. For many, it felt like a long-awaited acknowledgement of a beloved legacy that never faded. The public reaction was immediate and emotional. Social media filled with images of Diana visiting hospitals, greeting children, and showing kindness to those often overlooked. People recalled her warmth and courage, celebrating the idea that her influence could once again shape the monarchy's path. For William and Catherine, this wasn't only about remembrance. It was a forward-looking effort to modernize royal service, to meet the challenges of today with the values that once inspired millions. By linking the past to the present, they offered a vision of a monarchy that could stay meaningful for future generations. But while the initiative inspired countless supporters, it also stirred quiet unease inside the palace. Not everyone welcomed this revival of history. Queen Camilla's absence from the announcement and related events was impossible to ignore. Normally a steady presence at key moments, she remained out of sight and out of public conversation. No detailed explanation followed, only brief comments about a full schedule and the need for rest. Those who know the rhythms of royal life sensed there was more to the story. In royal circles, where every appearance carries meaning, a series of missed events can signal much more than a busy calendar. Observers began noting other subtle changes. Charities closely associated with Camilla received less media coverage. Portraits featuring her in certain offices were quietly rearranged. Allies who had long supported her seemed less visible. Each detail on its own might mean little, but together they suggested a shift. For someone who worked for years to build public trust and acceptance, this quieter role marked a striking turn. Some wondered if she chose to step back, while others suspected her influence within the family was simply diminishing. And yet, silence remained the palace's only response. With no formal statement, speculation grew. Was this a temporary pause, a personal decision, or the reflection of a deeper change inside the monarchy? Whatever the reason, Camilla's absence became one of the day's most powerful signals. As attention turned to the Diana initiative, something else began to change behind the scenes. Journalists and officials who once looked to Clarence House for guidance now increasingly sought updates from Kensington Palace, the home of William and Catherine. Meetings once led by King Charles reportedly shifted focus, with his son taking a more active role. Advisors noticed subtle but unmistakable differences. Conversations about upcoming projects and long-term plans began to include William earlier and more directly. This wasn't a dramatic takeover. It was a gradual rebalancing, a quiet transfer of influence that unfolded without any formal announcement. The future of the monarchy seemed to be shaping itself in real time, guided by the younger generation's approach to service and connection. William brought a sense of careful strategy to each decision. Catherine balanced that with warmth and steady outreach, strengthening public trust in a way that no statement could match. Together, they offered a picture of leadership that felt both modern and reassuring. The shift raised questions. Was this simply natural preparation for the next era, or was something prompting a faster transition? Those inside the palace might know the answer, but for the world watching, the mystery only deepened. While William and Catherine moved forward, another story unfolded with quieter but equally powerful undercurrents. Princess Anne, known for her unwavering sense of duty, appeared increasingly at odds with Queen Camilla. Their connection reaches back decades to the 1970s, when their personal circles overlapped in complicated ways. Over time, those early ties evolved into a relationship marked by polite distance rather than closeness. Anne has always placed service and tradition at the center of her life, and she has shown little patience for anything that might weaken that mission. Recent events brought those long-standing tensions closer to the surface. At a public ceremony not long ago, Camilla gestured for Anne to take the lead in entering a hall. Anne declined, offering a courteous smile but allowing Camilla to go first. It was a brief moment, yet for those who know royal customs, the symbolism spoke volumes. Friends of Anne describe her as someone who acts only when she believes the monarchy's core purpose is at stake. If she senses that purpose drifting, she will quietly but firmly push back, regardless of rank. Camilla, for her part, has built her role on resilience and patience, navigating years of public scrutiny. She understands palace dynamics well and is not easily shaken, but even she would find it difficult to ignore Anne's steady, principle-driven stance. This quiet tension, rooted in history yet very much alive today, added another layer to a royal family already facing profound change. Behind closed doors, key discussions continued. One private meeting between King Charles and Prince William became a particular point of interest. According to those familiar with palace life, the conversation was serious and focused, with both men viewing the monarchy's future from different angles. Charles has long valued tradition and the steady pace of careful planning. He believes that the strength of the crown lies in its ability to endure through consistency. William, shaped by a different era and the challenges of modern media, emphasizes the need for quick adaptation and visible action. Their talk reportedly ended without conflict, but with a quiet understanding. The times are changing, and so must the ways of leadership. This was not about disagreement, it was about perspective. Still, the moment marked a subtle shift in how decisions might be made going forward. Advisors noticed the difference. Plans for upcoming projects began to reflect William's more active voice. Communication with the public seemed to carry his imprint. The monarchy was not waiting for a formal change of leadership. Adjustments were happening in the present. For those watching from the outside, it became clear that the family was navigating a careful balance between respecting tradition and embracing a faster, more open style of engagement. While private discussions unfolded, the public was making its own judgments. Polls and online conversations showed a sharp rise in admiration for Catherine. Her calm response to questions about the Diana Initiative, simply saying that the work was about the future everyone builds together, resonated deeply. Commentators compared her words with Camilla's more formal remarks about tradition, noting how different the two approaches felt. Social media highlighted Catherine's empathy and accessibility, portraying her as a symbol of renewal and hope. William's measured leadership also drew praise. His ability to remain composed while guiding significant projects without seeking the spotlight appealed to those who value quiet confidence. This growing support wasn't the result of any single speech or appearance. It came from the steady way William and Catherine combined action with connection, reflecting values many people want to see in public life. For the palace, it meant that public opinion was no longer simply supportive of the crown as an institution. People were beginning to align themselves with particular figures, subtly shaping the future narrative of the monarchy. As these stories intertwined, a broader picture emerged. King Charles remained the official head of the monarchy, carrying out engagements and fulfilling constitutional duties. Yet to many, he increasingly seemed like a guiding figure, rather than the central force driving change. William and Catherine, meanwhile, continued to lead key initiatives and capture public attention. Their approach, modern, compassionate, and forward-looking, was quietly redefining what royal service could mean. Camilla's role appeared more distant. Her earlier efforts to build visibility and influence were less apparent in daily coverage. Whether by choice or circumstance, she was no longer at the forefront of royal activity. Princess Anne stayed constant, a steady guardian of duty and tradition. Her commitment to service and her quiet strength offered a reassuring link to the monarchy's enduring purpose, even as new directions emerged. Together, these developments formed something larger than isolated events. Without formal declarations, the structure of influence within the royal family was being reshaped. What began as subtle changes in schedules and meetings had become a quiet rewrite of how the monarchy operates. The story of this day is about more than a single announcement. It's about how history, memory, and responsibility can shift the direction of an institution that has lasted for centuries. Change is not always loud. Sometimes it moves gently, almost invisibly, until suddenly the path ahead looks completely different. Perhaps the monarchy isn't weakening at all. Perhaps it is adapting, becoming something more responsive and more connected to the people it serves. The Diana Initiative may be only one example of how past values can shape a future that feels fresh and hopeful. What do you think these quiet changes mean? Are we watching a carefully planned transition, or is history itself finding a new way forward through the next generation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective helps shape the conversation about where this remarkable story goes next. And if you want to keep following every chapter of the royal family's unfolding journey, remember to like, subscribe, and watch the next video for more insights.